Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. What if everything you did was based on deception, on lies, on misrepresenting the truth of things, on the appearance of things over the substance of things? Well, I'd say that you'd be living in a female utopia and a male nightmare. What if women could just choose any man that they wanted, or at least the genetic material of any man they wanted at any time? And what if they could get the state to provide for their housing, for their basic needs, for their security, for their entertainment? Well, they wouldn't need men at all, would they? And if they did, there would certainly be no reason for them to be nice or decent or kind to the men. And let's further imagine that the women in this world, where they could just pick whatever genetic material they wanted, get pregnant, and have the state take care of them, what if their wants and needs and their concerns were considered to be like the number one priority of the civilization, or for that matter, of whatever concern you were involved in? So if you were involved in building jumbo jets, but little Janie didn't get a compliment for her new haircut, the jumbo jet production could just shut down because little Janie's upset, and she might make an accusation of sexual misconduct. What if all of your institutions became servants to just this kind of immature, emotional female wants and needs? Because that sounds exactly like our educational system. It occurs to me that you should not have women in higher education. They're good in taking care of children, comforting children, because they themselves are children. But letting them teach higher education, that's crazy, because they just start teaching the things that they feel need to, take place in society. They're not even capable of looking at the world in a pragmatic, rational way, where they just kind of judge the results of things. Everything is based on their feelings, what they want, how they interpret things, what they want other people to feel. It's a manipulation. It is a web of lies. It is constant deception on the weaker, less qualified person's part, because they know that they cannot be judged on substance. So it's the exact opposite of a man's world. It's a female's world, and that is what we're living in. And it is a female utopia. She need only look at a man cross-eyed. She need only accuse a man. She can unload on a man socially, destroy his reputation, destroy his life, destroy his friendships, his associations, his livelihood. And to her, it's just nothing. To her, it's just some sort of joke. It's a giggle. So that's the environment that we're actually in. And if you think you get a bunch of sympathy from other men, you don't, because those men want to get together with those women. So they capitulate. They go along. It's not like they, could do very much anyway. So the male that wants to stand on his merit, on his ability, is shunned and pushed out from society and pushed out from the group, because it's a female utopia. That's what it is. And if you don't pay attention to the female's wants and needs, they'll pitch fits. So the entirety of the civilization goes towards serving these idiotic wants and needs. And then they just get amplified to where you're shutting down an entire university because the person with the lowest IQ gets upset by confrontational words. Just the words themselves conjure up images in their brain that upset them. So now you've got trigger warnings and safe spaces. It's female concerns. So what is a man to do in this situation? Women don't need men. Men are still attracted to women, although women don't seem to be getting happier. I'm sure that they're about 65% of all university degrees now, and I'm sure that they're moving into STEM fields and the highly technical fields. I'm sure that they already dominate all of the humanities, certainly all the, women's studies, things like that. And no doubt they will come to dominate the other fields But it doesn't really matter what kind of clothes you wear or how pretty you are to a math problem. You can't make that a subjective thing based on your feelings. And that's, of course, what they're trying to do. This is why men are so disgusted and walking away, because they're not being judged on their merit and on their deeds. I'd also like to talk about the idea of plugging women into men's roles, and pretending that women are just as good as men. Not at being men, they're not, So what is this bullshit? It's hateful propaganda is what it is. You don't see men making a bunch of movies where, men are acting like women, but you do see women, and you do see weak men who want to worship women and flatter them and represent them as equals. You do see them making art and images where they glorify women, like she's physically going to rescue them, is what I'm talking about. It's retarded. It's like you've got your Wonder Woman trailer, good-looking trailer, right? It's outright hypnotic, isn't it? Movies have that capability, don't they? And then you've got one type of man who's looking at it and thinking, wow, she's really hot. Actually, I think all men are looking at it and thinking that. But you've got one type of man, essentially a beta male, simping, worshiping provider type, just looking at that and being really excited by that. And you've got another type of man looking at that and saying, yeah, that's a fine-looking woman, it's a fine-looking movie, but it's a little insulting to the men that actually did die in the war. Now, it's just a movie and things like that, but you don't necessarily need to plug a woman into a man's role. You can have a woman come in and fill a woman's role and be powerful and be strong and, be attractive and everything like that. You don't have to take the role away from the men and disrespect the men in the process. You don't have to belittle the men in the process. And it seems like that's what it's about. And that's more of this weak female mindset that I've been talking about in some of my recent videos. So given all of this, I'm wondering if there is a proper way for men to interact with women. And I believe that this attitude of, no, there's no way to interact with women when they represent, roughly 50% of the population, I believe it's a defeatist kind of attitude, right? And I believe that, well, okay, but if you had to interact with them and you had to, make some beneficial, positive way, forward, what would it be then? I'll put it to you that way. Because really that is the situation. And I believe this kind of goes to how a lot of MGTOW feel about civilization being corrupt and that it needs to just kind of like destroy itself. And it's like, I don't know if this is more of kind of a person's worldview, more, representative of how they're feeling and their psychological outlook at the moment, towards the future, than it is towards any sort of real practical way to move forward in the future. Then I'll rephrase the question. If you had to move forward into the future in the best way possible that you could, if civilization was not going to destroy itself and just fall into some sort of Mad Max post-apocalyptic world, what would you do to make it better for you to live in? That's the question regarding women, too. Like, if you have to interact with them, what's the best way to do it? And this is the question, that I'm putting forward in how to use women. A lot of people thought it was going to be like a sexual Kama Sutra. No, this is how to interact with them in a positive way. And where a lot of MGTOW are saying, there is no way, don't interact with them. I'm saying, but if you had to, is there some way? And I'm saying, no, you can't have long-term relationships. I mean, of course, anybody can do anything they want, but I don't advise having a long-term relationship. And most women are based solely on deception and misrepresentation and emotional manipulation. And it's in the workplace, it's in the educational system. Everybody is taught that the female concerns are the greatest concerns. And we can recognize that the women don't build families, they don't build society, they just seem to want to take care of themselves and, build themselves, fluff themselves up to no end. Whereas men do want to build families. They want to secure a future, and they want to pass on the benefits of that. And you can see from a marketing point of view why you would want women to be the dominant force in the society, because they just keep buying garbage, and they just keep, wasting time. And they just keep caring about things like fashion and things like that. And it's all surface and deception and manipulation and appearances. And that's the situation that the young men are finding themselves in. And all I can say is that, you find the best way forward. That's what you do. You don't sugarcoat it. You don't pretend that you're living in some sort of Disney fairyland, because you're in a world where the woman can blink her eyes, say a few words, and you're in a lot of trouble. So how can you go forward in that situation? Very, very carefully, right? And of course you have to go forward. And of course you have to operate with the system as it is, on the assumption that it's going to continue on as it has. And the idea that it's all going to come breaking down, it's all going to suddenly change. Consider the possibility that it won't. Kind of hold that possibility. That it won't do that. That it'll do everything that it's done from the day before and the day before and the day before. And that you have to move forward within it. That it will not come to an end. That it will not break down. And I know that, I'm not looking for an argument within, MGTOW or to men, right? I'm saying that you need to be considering that possibility. That none of it breaks down, that it all just keeps going. And we as individual men, we just live our lives through it, and then it's over. So I'm suggesting that there doesn't have to be this waiting for it to all come shutting down and all be breaking down. Now, I don't know what people should do. I don't know what men should do. The situation is insane. It's a female utopia. She can pick out the genetics of any man she wants. She can become impregnated. The society, the civilization will give her food, will give her, housing, will give her pre-medical care, will give her free education. And meanwhile, the man can just go out onto the street and struggle and suffer. And his concerns and his wants and his needs and his requirements, they're mocked, they're laughed at, they're belittled. Hers, our entire civilization is being geared towards taking care of, these emotional, manipulative concerns that are crazy, that we should be ignoring and paying attention to the way to build a strong, sustainable future for ourselves. Not to make ourselves fat and happy. Anyway, that's how I see it. But I'm going to leave it at that for now. So let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.